They laughed when my brother mocked me. Even my parents chuckled, sipping their wine like it was just another family joke. But what stung wasn't the punchline. It was how easily I disappeared behind it. I didn't flinch. Not when he said I'd vanished into obscurity. Not when the room clapped like they agreed. My name is Selma, and this is the moment they stopped looking at me. Until one man stood up and made them see. I'm not sure why I came. Maybe it was a misguided sense of loyalty. Or maybe somewhere deep down. I still hoped they'd see me, not for what I used to be, or what they feared I'd become, but for who I am now. Charleston heat clung to my skin like guilt, even past 5 in the evening. The breeze from the marshes didn't help much, nor did the sweeping arches and manicured gardens of the old plantation house where the wedding was being held. Everything gleamed, lacquered floors, crystal chandeliers, cello strings humming like whispers behind closed doors. The air smelled like power trying too hard. I stepped inside. No one welcomed me. Heads turned, not in surprise, but in judgmental curiosity, as if I were a wrong note in their carefully orchestrated symphony. Someone near the back whispered, "She actually showed up," followed by the sort of smirk that was too smooth to be casual. I wore a deep chestnut gown, simple but cut sharp, no sequins, no statement jewelry, just posture, just presence. Philip spotted me. He stood beside his bride on stage, tailored tuxedo, hair slicked back, confidence radiating like heat off the marble. He lifted his glass and smiled that politician's smile that always felt 1 inch too wide. "Let's hear it for my sister, Selma, brave enough to turn down Princeton to, what was it again? Save the world?" Laughter, not loud, but collective, practiced, safe. My mother waved from the VIP table like I was a friendly neighbor who'd wandered in. My father didn't look up, too focused on pouring his scotch just right. No one stood. No one clapped for me. I let my lips curve, barely. Not because it didn't hurt, but because the pain was familiar. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My gaze drifted to the back of the room, where a man in a dark suit was watching me. No smirk, no applause, just a quiet, unwavering stare. I knew him, but I didn't yet know what he was going to do. If Philip was the golden light of the family, I was the corner left unlit. When I was 18, I applied to the military without telling anyone. My parents were hosting a champagne brunch that same morning, celebrating Philip's acceptance into Princeton's finance fellowship. I left through the back door with a duffel bag and a letter folded 3 times. I placed it on the breakfast table. My mother tossed it into the trash without opening it. From Jordan. I wrote to my father 13 times in 2 years. Not a single reply. On my first leave at 24, I found them, still sealed, rubber banded together, tucked inside the bottom drawer of his desk. I asked him why. "I didn't feel like reading things that didn't concern me," he said. Didn't concern him. Just like I didn't concern anyone here now. Philip moved through the ballroom like a senator up for re-election, shoulders squared, smile ready, complimenting every guest like they were campaign donors. From across the room, I spotted Mr. Foster, an old friend of my father's, lingering by the whiskey bar. When our eyes met, he raised an eyebrow. "You're still alive?" he said, then took a long sip. I smiled. Not because I was offended. I wasn't. People always remember the dead. No one ever remembers the ones who stay alive quietly. A woman approached me, late 50s, pearls, posture, and perfume. She held a business card. "Oh, you must be Selma. Your mother told me all about you. You work in defense, right? As a secretary?" I took the card. My name was misspelled, Selma Carrington. My rank wasn't on it. My mother had introduced me on my behalf, the version of me she could tolerate. "I'm a lieutenant colonel," I said calmly. U.S. Army Strategic Intelligence. She blinked, smiled, blinked again. A younger woman chimed in, chipper and clueless. "So, are you married?" "My brother's single, but he's picky." Before I could respond, she turned to her friend and whispered, Loud enough. Can't imagine anyone putting up with a woman like that. I stepped away. Outside. The sun was sliding lower, spilling over the lawn like liquid brass. I leaned on the railing of the veranda, pressing my thumb against a small insignia pinned beneath my collar, a decoration only a handful of people would even recognize. But I didn't wear it for them. I wore it for me. Inside, the music swelled, and then I heard Philip's voice, clear through the mic. Let's raise a glass to my family, people who've built something great and carried our name with pride. I didn't move. I heard every word. There was no place for me in that sentence. Not every celebration is about joy. Some are orchestrated reminders that you don't belong. The violinist played canon in D, with the kind of clinical precision that made every note feel like it was judging me. I sat at the last table, near the service entrance, alone but not invisible. A boy ran past and splashed a full glass of water down the hem of my dress. His mother, draped in blush-colored silk, glanced at me, didn't apologize, just tugged his hand and said, "Don't get too close to strangers." I didn't know her, but I carried the Carrington name. She didn't. Philip stepped onto the stage like it was Broadway, and he was headlining opening night. His smile said he knew exactly how good the lighting made him look. "We're here to celebrate love. Of course," he began, voice warm, rehearsed. "But also to honor family. My father, a pillar of strength. My mother, the soul of grace. And my sister, Selma." He paused, looked right at me, like he was daring me to flinch. "Who chose a very unique path in life, I suppose. She prefers a quieter legacy." The room didn't laugh gently this time. It laughed loud. It laughed like it knew me better than I knew myself. I straightened my spine. Didn't laugh. Didn't duck. I just looked him in the eyes. And he looked away. My father nodded to the music, sipping slowly. My mother leaned toward her friend and whispered, "She's always been hard to get close to." I remembered calling home when I made captain. My mother picked up and said, "Still in the army? Aren't you tired of being single?" A woman in a red dress leaned toward me at the table. "What do you do, exactly?" "Military." "Oh, so like accounting or admin?" "Close. I handle strategy, intelligence, and counter-interference operations." "Wow, sounds like a movie." I smiled. "Movies end in 2 hours. I live inside them all year." She blinked, excused herself, and didn't come back. I was about to leave when I caught the look again. The man at the far end of the ballroom hadn't moved. His eyes cut through the room like a blade. Unblinking. Unapologetic. I knew those eyes. General Harlan Becker. We'd served together in Kuwait. Border control ops. I'd been 28, and he hadn't needed to remember my name, but he did. And now he was standing in the same room as Philip Carrington? A chill crept down my spine. Not from fear, from uncertainty. I didn't know if he was here for me, or for my father. Philip returned to the mic. "Oh, and let's not forget Selma's little stunt. Remember when she jumped out of that helicopter? During a training exercise, wasn't it?" He laughed. "I think that was her final attempt to be memorable." They laughed with him. They didn't know. I hadn't jumped for training. I jumped because a 19-year-old private was pinned near a failing rotor. I got him out 3 seconds before the blades failed. No one here would understand that, and I didn't need them to. Only one man in this room knew, and he hadn't taken his eyes off me. The mood began to shift, slowly, subtly. A server passed near my table, glanced toward General Becker, then back to me. He hesitated. "You know him?" "I served under him." "So, you're—" He didn't finish the sentence, but his posture changed. Respect, and maybe a trace of fear. I stood, lifted my glass of water, and walked toward the side hallway. The music still played. The laughter still rolled. The cake was being cut, as if Philip was the only name in the world that mattered. But I knew something they didn't. The truth never stays quiet forever. Sometimes, it rises, and it wears a rank. I stepped back into the ballroom just as the bride finished her speech. She looked exactly how a Carrington bride was supposed to look: young, soft-spoken, sculpted like a sculpture built for legacy. The applause that followed was eager, polished, too perfect to be real. Then Philip took the mic. "I want to share something tonight," he said, his voice smooth as silk and sharp as glass. "Not just as a groom, but as a son, and as the heir of a family that understands what success truly means." All eyes were on him. Every breath in the room seemed to pause, perfectly timed for whatever he would gift them next. "We Carringtons," he said, pausing for effect, "have spent generations building something bigger than ourselves. Not just wealth, but vision, measurable, influential, lasting. Of course," he added, glancing in my direction, "not everyone born into this family chooses to participate in that legacy." His smile deepened. "Some," he continued, "choose other roads, and in doing so, they seem to forget that success doesn't look like obscurity." Applause. Loud, proud, familiar. My father laughed so hard his shoulders shook. He raised his glass to someone across the table. My mother leaned toward a woman beside her and whispered just loud enough for the word difficult to carry across the linen. I didn't move. I didn't flush. I didn't flinch. Instead, I reached for the clasp beneath my collar and quietly unhooked it, folding the neckline of my dress just enough to reveal the metal that had rested there, close to my skin, for half a decade. Silver. Still, unasked about, unwanted, but never undeserved. I didn't look at Philip. I didn't look at anyone. I only looked toward the back of the room, because he was already standing. His cane was in his right hand. His left smoothed the front of his jacket with practiced formality. General Becker's face hadn't changed since Kuwait. Still steel, still silence. Is that General Becker?" someone whispered. "Why is he here?" And then the music stopped. The air pulled tight. The applause didn't return. All the rules of the room had shifted, though no one had said how or when. Everything waited. "Enough," he said. "Respect. Her. Rank." The words didn't echo. They landed, heavy, final, unchallengeable. Someone set a glass down too hard. Ice clinked against crystal. Then nothing. General Becker pulled off his gloves, took one step forward, raised his hand in a salute so precise, the room stopped breathing. I met his eyes, and I returned it. A soldier in dress uniform, seated near the back, stood and followed. Another, older, placed his hand over his heart. Someone else began to rise, but hesitated halfway. That's how power shifts, first in stillness, then in motion. Philip stood frozen. His lips parted like he had something to say, but nothing came. His jaw tensed, his shoulders twitched, but he didn't move. My mother's hand trembled as her champagne flute slipped from her grasp and shattered quietly against the carpet. No one stooped to clean it up. The server who'd asked what I did walked past me again. He didn't speak, just bowed his head as he passed. No one was laughing now. The room had turned, not because I had spoken, but because the one man they all feared had stood to speak for me. Somewhere behind me, someone whispered, "She's the one from Ayat al-Sahra." I thought that was a rumor. I didn't correct them. I didn't need to. Philip never did know when to keep his mouth shut, even now. With the weight of General Becker's salute still thick in the air, he stepped forward and stretched a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Selma, always full of surprises," he said, his voice thinner than usual, each word clawing for oxygen that the room no longer offered. "She's always been unique in our family, a little different." No one laughed, no one nodded. Someone checked their phone. Someone else straightened their tie. A woman picked at her napkin like she was trying to disappear into it. I stood still. My hand grazed the pendant beneath my dress, the one that never left my skin. It wasn't fancy, just a small, worn disc engraved with the initials of a fallen teammate. He used to hum Patsy Cline in the middle of chaos, said it helped him breathe. He never made it home. My father gripped the table, his knuckles whitening like he wanted to stand. My mother touched his wrist and shook her head once. He sat back. From the far end of the room, an older man rose, stiff, dignified. No trace of theater in the way he walked. "Selma Carrington?" I turned, nodded. "I had a grandson in Basra. You carried him out." I didn't think anyone made it out of that mess alive." I remembered the kid, big brown eyes, bleeding badly, terrified. I remembered singing Patsy Cline back to him while we waited for evac. "Thank you," the old man said. Nothing else, no applause, just that. I walked toward the door. No one tried to stop me. No one dared. Behind me, I heard Philip shift, a breath, a footstep. Then silence. General Becker turned his head just slightly, one look in Philip's direction. That was all it took. I had nearly reached the door when the microphone squealed softly behind me. I stopped. General Becker had stepped onto the stage. He moved slowly, age and memory weighing on every joint, but his presence filled the room like thunder rolling in off the ocean. He adjusted the mic with a deliberate hand, cleared his throat, and spoke with a voice that silenced even the champagne. "I don't usually speak at weddings," he said, "but tonight, I'd like to say a few words about someone I once served beside, someone I owe my life to." The air in the room pulled tight again, this time not with tension, but with something heavier. Guilt. Maybe recognition. He told them about Ayat al-Sahra, a mission most of them had never heard of, because it was never meant to be heard. A hostile zone, a fractured extraction, communications down, reinforcements delayed, his entire unit surrounded and pinned. The only reason any of them got out, he said, was because one person took command. She didn't fire a single shot, he told them, but she saved 31 lives. I didn't give her an order. She made the call herself, with clarity, with discipline, and with a tactical mind that would shame most of the officers I've trained. He scanned the crowd, letting the silence settle. In the military, we don't care about bloodlines. We care about action. No one clapped. They didn't need to. They were finally listening. He looked over at me then, not with pride, but with something quieter, something closer to truth. And then he added, "I once recommended her for the Pentagon's Advanced Command Program. She turned it down. I asked her why. She said, 'I don't need another medal. I just want to get my people home.'" No one spoke. No one shifted. The room was still, not out of awe, not out of fear, but because, for the first time, they knew they'd been wrong. I stepped out onto the veranda. The Charleston breeze threaded through my hair, soft and salt-tinged. Out here, the air felt different. No clinking glasses, no stage lights, no sideways glances trying to decide what to make of me. Just wind and space, and the hush that follows a storm no one saw coming. From my clutch, I unfolded a small, aged piece of paper, one of the 13 letters I'd written to my father. The edges were worn soft like old linen, but the ink still held. It read, "I'm not sorry I chose differently, but I'm still your daughter, if you ever want me to be." I slipped the paper into the untouched glass of wine sitting on the table beside me and left it there, soaking slowly in the red. No one would read it. That wasn't the point. It was a headstone for something I'd finally buried. The need to be accepted by people who never tried to understand me. A small pair of shoes tapped the wooden planks behind me. I turned. A little girl, Philip's niece maybe, stood watching me. She hesitated. "Are you the superhero Uncle Brad was talking about?" I knelt slightly, eye level with her, and smiled. "No. I just do the right thing. That's all." She nodded, solemn in the way only children can be when they sense the truth, then dashed off back inside. I didn't follow. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. For the first time, I wasn't leaving in silence. I was walking away from the noise, because they'd finally heard me. I was once the blurred edge in the family photo. Today, I didn't need to squeeze into the frame, because the whole damn picture turned to face me.